All right, folks, Beyond the Gates, episode 108, Friday's episode, the end of a pretty interesting week to say the least. Yeah, I did see the comments on my episode 107 review. A lot of people said, Jeremy, this was a 10 out of 10 episode. Eh, it was good. I gave it a solid 8. It had its moments, but I think for me, it's just Doug's arrogance is just such a, I don't know. The same way people just roll their eyes whenever like Ashley is on the screen or something like that. I kind of feel the same way with Doug when he's just being incredibly stupid slash, well, you know what? He thinks he's coming across as, oh, I got the upper hand, basically an air of arrogance, when in fact he's a dummy. And that's putting it nicely. And we see a bit more of that in this episode. But there were some elements that just ticked me off, especially regarding Haley and how some characters just ain't using their, like R. Kelly said in that interview with Gail King, use your common sense. That's basically what's going on there. But either way, I'm giving this one another 8 out of 10. I thought it was really good. But with that being said, let's jump into this review as we close out the week. So, Dani, and if I remember correctly, didn't Andre text Dani and she was at Uptown in the midst of Haley and the whole situation involving the baby. She's upset and she thinks that she is responsible for Haley losing her child. And he gives her, a glass of wine to, help calm her down. And she just gulps it, just one gulp, and like, okay, I need some more. And she basically explains the situation. And all of a sudden she realizes that, oh no, Haley was actually telling the truth. She left with some stranger named Sammy and he took her to the hospital. And, the more she goes into detail, the more guilt she feels. And Andre just thinks that, oh, I'm sure she'll be fine. So as we go back to Bill and Haley's home, he finds out about the miscarriage. And he can't believe this is happening. And, he's holding Haley, and in the back of the, actually right behind them, in the back of her mind, Naomi is trying to put the pieces together based off of what Ashley said about the ultrasound. Now, Bill asked, how that's one thing I praised about this. Bill asked the question everybody was saying after episode 107. If you had a miscarriage, how in the world did the ER release you so fast? And it's like, he wants the name of the doctor that treated her, but Haley's like, oh, the fetus had already expelled and there was nothing more to do. So Bill goes to the kitchen to make her some tea, and that's when Naomi's like, wait a minute, why didn't you say all that when I got here? And that's when Haley calls it a sensitive subject and Bill should be the first to know. And then Naomi counters that by saying, so why did you pretend to have an ultrasound in the first place? Because is my father in there mourning over a baby that never existed in the first place? So yeah, she's low key starting to put the pieces together and unlocking the door to expose Haley's lying self. But we shift gears over to Vanessa and Joey. And she tries to reassure him that, hey, my husband won't be a problem anymore. And, we're at the diner and I pretty much, just broke it down that let go of this, petty revenge and whatnot because you love me, right? And given that I'm so deep in with Joey right now, if you bring him down, I go down too. So the thing is, Joey feels like Doug shouldn't get to profit from their business venture because he's threatening it. And that's valid. But yet again, Vanessa tries to ease his concerns. But, if I were Joey, I'm like, nah, man, we got to nip it in the bud. Why should I trust you? And like this one misjudgment of me allowing myself to have somebody else kind of handle a situation like this should be a red flag because this operation's in trouble. I mean, keep in mind, he trusted Randy with taking out the busboy. He failed and tried to run. So, I don't know. But then Joey's like, well, I never had a woman protect me before, so I'm thankful for that. And the last thing I need is cops sniffing around for another investigation. And Vanessa's like, wait, another? And wait, no, just forget I said that. Any investigation. And he knows that guys like Doug, well, things can turn out pretty nasty. And it's gotten to the point where, you know, he's been in this business long enough that he's known men like Doug who offered their wives to him after losing big at the casino. And he says that he wouldn't gamble if he was with a woman like Vanessa. So look at Doug, your husband now, you know, from being a top-notch surgeon to a deadbeat drunk. And that's when Vanessa tries to defend Doug, and she caves, mentioning that, you know what, I actually did tell him that you bugged his car. And yet again, Joey is rightfully pissed. But, you know, she tries to, you know, soothe the tension by explaining that I did it so he would realize that you shouldn't be trifled with. Man, Joey's going to go down. No pun intended. Because the fact that he's allowing his better judgment in the criminal underworld to be undermined by his attraction to this fine woman. So she mentions, like, can you forgive me? And then he stares at her chest and say it's hard to stay upset with her. Duh. You're letting yourself. Okay, fine, man. If you flounder and fall because of her, it's on you. It's on you. So, speaking of drunk ass Doug, he actually, you know, rushes over to Randy at the other side of the diner. And he's like, wait, I thought you were supposed to be in hiding. What are you doing? And that's when Randy says, like, whoa, just chill, man. I mean, I had some business to take care of. Yeah, Sammy. And Doug thinks it's a woman problem. So that's when Doug mentions that he needs his help to take Joey down. And rightfully so, Randy's like, bro, have you lost your damn mind? Like, what are you talking about? And Doug mentions how Joey will never play nice and thinks that Randy owes him. And Randy mentions how, you know, others have tried to get rid of Joey and none of them are still above ground, if you catch my drift. This fool's over here considering murder. Like, bro, Doug, he ain't gonna make it another 100 episodes. That's all I'm saying. Like, this dude is asking to get killed. So he talks to Randy about Vanessa and Joey and the thrill of the danger. And Randy's like, my bad, bro. Sorry about that. Which, hey, I wouldn't be consoling him like you tried to warn Doug from the beginning. Stay away from Joey. Nope. I need the money. So Randy does mention that Joey doesn't have a habit of mixing business with pleasure, which yet again could be an indication of Joey being sloppy. But from there, Doug flips it saying, you know what though, considering you know the inner workings, you know, me and you, it's like you can make him suffer without murdering him. And then Randy could go to the police and mention how Joey tried to coerce him into murdering that guy, Kenny, and they'll follow the body and find Joey. And then that's when Randy rightfully says, like, have you not realized the game? Joey has eyes and ears everywhere. You really don't think he has some of the cops in his back pocket? So Doug decides, like, well, let's go to the district attorney. And Randy, I don't know. He just mentions how, you know, yet again, he feels like he was the one that got Doug into this mess in the first place. And if we do go to the DA, we got to go about it my way. And he mentions how Doug has been loud and sloppy. Yeah, that's what's been so annoying about him. And that's when Doug mentions, well, Joey put a bug in his car. And Randy's like, you know what? I think we can flip this around to use it to our advantage. Now, Jan finds Derek at Uptown. And, you know, remember, he's training for a triathlon to try to get his mind off of Ashley. And Jan, I don't know. I don't know what to say for Jan. It's like, some people on Twitter is like, hell, at this rate, I wouldn't be surprised if Derek and Jan started dating, because she is just determined to try to get him and her daughter back together. Now, Derek does remind her that, look, I asked Ashley to marry me and she turned me down. And that's when Jan is like, you know what, it's all my fault because I made my daughter so independent not to, lean on a man for support and whatnot. But Derek mentions how, yeah, she wants someone else. And that's when Jan's like, oh yeah, that player Andre. And yet again, she's pushing for Derek to try even harder to get his girl back. But I don't know why Derek feels like this is a good idea. He has tried on a couple of occasions to get her back and failed. But the thing is, he just needs to remember, let her go. I don't really know what it's one thing for you to propose, but, well, I'll explain later when he actually shows up to the apartment. Now, at home, Ashley looking good in blue, which I'm biased. Blue is my favorite color. She's working out and thinks about, her mom's advice about men, the hero versus the player. And she needs to figure out who exactly she wants. Lo and behold, Derek shows up. And that's when he brings up her mom and says that, look, I want to be your hero. And I can learn and grow with you. I mean, is there any chance for us to make it work? And Ashley's torn, but Derek, man, I ain't gonna hold you, man. Like, you looking more pathetic by the attempt. Like, let it go. She don't want you no more. But despite loving him and feeling like, I don't know. She just felt so boxed in. It's like, yeah, Derek, I love you, and it's like, I feel like we got everything we could get out of our relationship, and yet it still didn't feel right. It's just the fact that Andre represents the sense of wonder that I've never explored before since my life has been so structured. He offers that level of spontaneity that fuels my dreams that I didn't even know I had. And he mentions how, look, I know I'm not, rich or anything, and I can't take you to, all these places Andre can, but I can at least give you some experiences. And Ashley's like, well, it's not like this kind of thing has ever happened to me either. And it's like, I know my mom wants me to choose a safe man, but I want to throw caution to the wind. And even though she feels selfish, Derek understands. And for like the 20th time, he's like, wait, are you sure about this? And I won't wait forever. What's it going to be? Whenever he says stuff like this, I feel like it's low-key passive-aggressive. I mean, bro, you won't wait forever. She don't want you, though. She don't. I mean, you dumped her. Well, wait, what is the order of operations? You moved out. You ended things. Then you proposed. Gave her an ultimatum. She denied it. And you walked out on her. It's just like, for as much flack as people want to give Ashley, you can't act like Derek is a saint in all this. So afterwards, we go back to Andre's place, and Dani calls Bill to get an update on the baby, and he mentions how, Haley's okay, but the baby was lost. And then she breaks down even more. And she calls herself a monster for what happened. And, Andre's trying to calm her down, but she's blaming herself for this and feels like the stress is the reason for the miscarriage. But Andre disagrees that that's the case. And she mentions how she's using him to feel better. And she keeps crossing that line that she drew into the sand for being friends with benefits to wanting to be more. And he urges her to do that, but she feels bad about it. So Andre mentions how it is player ways. Like, look, you light up everybody you're around, so you can make a man forget that, well, anyone else exists. It's only you understood that about yourself, yet she only sees herself as a hot mess. So as they hug, she talks about how, I don't know what I'd do without you right now. So he tells her she won't have to find out, and then they start making out. And Andre, who I don't believe closed the door behind Dani, which is a stupid move, he starts undressing, and then Ashley walks in. So they stop, and Andre worries that, I'm taking advantage of you in a vulnerable moment, and they decide to snuggle instead. And it's like, bro, I was rooting for y'all. Damn it. Pissed me off. That's why I give this episode an 8. Part of the reason. So we go back to Bill, and Haley tells Naomi that she lied about there being an ultrasound, and the printout that Bill has is from the internet. So for those of you who came up with that theory, I believe the first time we saw an ultrasound was when Bill was in the hospital and Haley put together like that slideshow. You were right. You were right. Naomi is rightfully pissed off. And Haley's saying that, look, it sounds worse than it really is. And Naomi rightfully calls her out for faking a pregnancy. But Haley's like, no, I was pregnant at one time. It's just that I did lose the baby. So I didn't let the doctor do an ultrasound when Dani brought her to the hospital the first time. So, you know, it's like I was just terrified and convinced that, you know, everything was going to be all right. But it turns out, you know, I realized what I did was stupid, but it stopped Bill from questioning anything and it allowed me to keep pretending I was pregnant. So she's wondering if she could have saved her baby if she agreed to have the ultrasound in the first place. So I don't trust this heifer. You can say what you want. I don't trust her. And telling Bill about that situation would just make him hurt all over again. So she wants Naomi to keep this secret, which Naomi, like, really? Really? Because now it's like she's being emotionally manipulated to lie to her father to spare him from having heartache. This is some bull crap. Now you got Dani thinking she's responsible for you losing a baby that never existed. And now you got your ex-friend lying to her father. This is some mess. So Bill comes in and Naomi doesn't say anything. And Naomi was looking forward to meeting, you know, her baby sibling. And as they hug, Haley, you know, mouths out a thank you to Naomi. And that's when Naomi leaves and Bill tells Haley that, look, it wasn't your fault. So they hug it out. So Derek actually shows up to Uptown and mentions that Ashley has chosen Andre. And that's about it. But yeah, this is some bull crap, man. It was a good episode. It was a good episode. But I'm just like, come on, man. Come on, dog. Come on, man. So let me know your thoughts on 108 in the comment section below. And yeah, folks, I have not forgotten. Last weekend, I recorded my video with like my top 10 favorite moments from the first 100 episodes. I just have not had a chance to edit yet. It is coming. It's already recorded. I got the audio. I got my list. I just need to take the time to edit and post it to the channel. But as always, just thanks for the patience and thanks for the support. You know, Beyond the Gates is still going strong, and I can't wait to see what next week brings. But as always, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.